Alright, so, great race this week. Fairly straightforward, I think, in terms of the requirements. You should have 2 to 3 geometric characters, quote-unquote, that embark on some kind of race through some kind of environment. Again, linked to previous examples, as well as my terrible assignment, which was like some people skiing. Requirements for this are 15 to 20 seconds long. Again, I don't care what you render in. You can do Arnold, Unreal, Unity, Blender, Redshift. Doesn't really matter to me as long as it's not like Maya hardware. One character must win the race somehow. If that's, they win, like they cross the literal finish line, or they're the only one left alive at the end, doesn't really matter to me. I use the term race very loosely. It should be obvious though, like what the characters are doing, if they're, the reason for their race. If it's like a really obvious like car race, that's one thing. They could be racing to, it could be like 2 ants going for a sugar cube or something like that. They could be running away from something. It doesn't really matter, but their motivation should be obvious for whatever they're doing. And then ideally there would be some kind of suspense or unexpected event or a twist that happens. I know a lot of times, like I said, do the only one left alive kind of deal. A lot of times people will go through and sort of kill off a character halfway through or something like that. Maybe one of the cars crashes, that kind of thing. But make the viewer sort of care about the characters as much as you can. Try to make their motion realistic. I'm not expecting like, full character animation or anything like that, but again, like do pay attention to sort of physics, how things are moving. Try, if the characters are going to start moving, give some kind of wind up to that, or like some sort of preamble to make it sort of like prep the viewer for their motions. Again, think of all the different sort of 12 principles of animation for this. You could also use squash and stretch to sort of sell speed, depending on, what kind of speed you're going for. And again, just generic suggestions to earn more points. Make some kind of complete feeling environment. It doesn't really matter necessarily what your environment is. Consider using cards and mash if you're doing, for some reason a lot of people do like garden snails or like things in grass for this. So consider using cards or like different ways to make nice feeling grass, that kind of thing. Something nice with lighting, again, is kind of my standard thing. Something basically, add to the mood of the scene, do something more than just like a generic dome lights, that kind of thing. And again, focus on, in this case, not only creating realistic motion, so like something physically plausible. Try to avoid, crazy stuff like sliding all over the place. Like if you had a car, it wouldn't be, going straight and then just sort of start drifting randomly. But also do try to make the characters have a little bit of life if you can. That's sort of like a build-up, I guess, to not only your final, but next week's assignment as well. Something unexpected, cool build-ups, and then this is like the 12 principle stuff that I mentioned. More generic notes. I do highly recommend having reference for what you're doing, right? So if you're doing like a car race, look up what car races look like. If you're doing a snail, look up how snails move. Weird tidbit, I have a lot of aquatic snails, so I know what snails move like. Anywho. No requirement for moving the camera. If you want to move it, go for it. If you don't have to. And then pretty much this is going to be more or less the same so this is going to be more or less the same grading that I've been doing in previous weeks. So you get like a point for model, point for texture / lighting, and then just get rid of that. And then, 5 points for the animation and quality. And again, for this, so mostly what I'm looking for is, part of that is like, is the motion physically plausible? The other part is sort of how successful is the story itself. So I'll just be kind of dividing that like roughly half and half with the animation grading. But again, like this is not I don't know. I could say the same thing 80 times, but, physically plausible motion, characters you care about, obvious story and motivation, that's the 3 sort of touchstone points of this assignment. What to submit? I only care about the video this time. So again, standard formatting compressions, this should be rendered at full HD. Again, don't really care what render engine you use. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So just submit your video. Should be good. Do make sure that it's compressed. You know, not like a 300 megabyte file. Yeah. This is pretty much the only thing. So these I usually just sort of add to, in case I haven't mentioned this. I just sort of like, if I see something that's like weird for this, I'll go in and sort of like add it as I go and then like refer back to this so that I don't, you know, take off 2 points for someone and like 3 points for someone else. So this is not an all-comprehensive list. I just sort of add to it as I see things to sort of keep notes for myself. But anywho, that is the Great Race. Have fun.